Hey everyone, how are you? Today is Sunday, August 9th. My name is Tracy. I go by Tracy Stitches on YouTube and Wow Princess on Instagram. If you've been here before and you're back, thanks for coming back. If you're new, welcome, and I hope you enjoy my Flosstube. Anyway, it's been a few weeks since I last did a video. Right after my birthday, I think, right at the end of June, beginning of July, I did a video. But July, I took a 2-week vacation, went and spent 2 weeks with my parents. We've been basically self-quarantining the same, making the same choices, so we feel comfortable spending time together. Speaking of quarantining, we're still basically doing the same thing. I'm on a fairly permanent work from home. We're at least going to work from home until the end of the year, probably well into 2021. So I spent a lot of time at my house, and which has actually been pretty good. I moved late last fall into the house, and so I'm still like putting things up on the wall and figuring that stuff out and decorating, that kind of thing. So I've actually been making progress on that, which is good. Other than that, the weather's been really nice here, nice and sunny. We did have a typical Pacific Northwest rain shower this week for August. That's not uncalled for, but unheard of, but it does happen. And so, but we're back to blue sky and sunny today, and probably will be for most of August, which is really nice. So what else has been going on? Not a lot. Working. Like I said, I had the 2-week vacation. We didn't do anything. They have a pool. They live in Eastern Washington. They have a pool. And so we hung out in the sun, and it was great. So I still have my corona hair. It's getting longer and longer. I was looking at some pictures from earlier this year, and my hair's grown quite a bit. I'm still at a point where I'm not going to go get a haircut, so it's actually ponytail length at this point, so that's a bonus. So I'm going to go ahead and go with that and do a ponytail when I need to, but one of these days I'll get a haircut again. We'll see. So anyway, let's get into stitching. I do have some stuff. Most of July I didn't stitch, quite frankly. I stitched a little bit. I picked some up here and there, but not a ton. I just picked up my stitching again at the beginning of last weekend, so a little over a week ago. But I have some things to show, and we're going to start with some haul, because I have some haul, of course. So the first bit of haul, I have a friend who lives in a town in Eastern Washington, and she has a quilt store in town that's going out of business, and that quilt store actually does carry DMC, and so she offered to get some of us some DMCs and on super sale, clearance type prices. So I had sent her a list of about 65, and I got about, I don't know, 50 of them or so. Those are all, except for the neutrals, they're all for actual projects. So not like I probably needed DMC, but ironically the colored ones in this I didn't have, or they were kitted. So I don't break apart a skein to put it in 2 different kits. So if I didn't have it in my overflow stash, then I don't count it as having it. So anyway, so that's good. Just basic DMC though. And then I put in, at the end of May, I had been looking for some at a specific color. Sorry, I got distracted by the bags. By a very specific color of hand-dyed silk floss from Silks for You in Australia, and I had been really wanting it, and but they're having some supply chain problems, and so I just been watching just to see kind of when they were getting things back on stock. And at the end of May, they had gotten a shipment of silk in, so they dyed a bunch of fibers, and so I ended up finally picking up the skein that I wanted, which is this one. And this is PR076. And so it's just kind of a mix of pinks and yellows. It's just gorgeous. Somebody in Instagram land is stitching with this thread on, it's the fabric that Snow Village is supposed to be on. The, by Country Cottage House. It's, I cannot think of the name. Hold on, and I'm going to look it up because it'll bother me if I don't. But they're stitching a project on with that thread with the PR076 and on this particular fabric, and it's gorgeous and I love it. And so I ended up, I wanted to do something like that. I have actually an idea. I'm not going to tell you about it quite yet, but I am going to go ahead and get that done. It's French Country Rain. That's the fabric, French Country Rain. So they're using French Country Rain with PR076 from Silks for You, and it's gorgeous. And so I have a project in mind that I want to do that combination on, and so I'm going to go ahead and I'll get that started with, because I do have a piece of French Country Rain, which I'll tell you why I have that piece already in a bit. But anyway, so I'm going to do that. And then I figured, well, since I'm ordering, I might as well order more because it's coming all the way from Australia. Why wouldn't you? So I ended up getting 4 total skeins. This is PR113. Just a nice kind of minty green blue color. And then I got this one, which has the same color, but it's a variegated. So it's got that 113 mixed in. So those 2 skeins will go together. And I'm actually thinking about potentially using, by the way, I think this is PR006. I have my 2 last colors mixed up on their numbers. So it's either PR006 or PR109. But I'm thinking that these hanks are about 30 skeins of DMC, so each. So I'm thinking about using this combination to do Pandemic by Long Dog. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I just need to figure out what size of fabric I want to do it on. I want to do it probably on a 36 or 40 to try to minimize the size of that project. But I need to see what my fabric situation is and go from there. So, and then the last skein I got was, again, this is either PR006 or PR109. I'm not exactly sure, but it's just a pink color. But I just loved, so I got it. So anyway, those, I ordered those on May 31st. She put them in the mail on June 3rd. And they arrived in Washington State on July 13th. So not bad. She said in the before times, as I call them, that things had been taking about 2 weeks to get to the United States, but that's about 5 weeks. And she's seeing anywhere from 4 to 6 or 7 weeks. So I think the pandemic and customs and all of that is just slowing everything way down. So not much you can do about it, but they did show up and I love them and I'm going to use them soon. So my hair is blowing. I'm sitting right below the air conditioner unit, so the fan's blowing my hair. Oh, that's not distracting. And then I did put up a 123 stitch order in. I had the spring, summer ABCs by Little House, and I wanted to just get the other ones. So I got winter, autumn, and spring, just to finish my collection. So I had all 4. I don't have plans on starting them quite yet. I do have a window shutter that I'm going to mount them on with magnets when I do get around to doing those. And then I got a piece of, I actually got a piece of Aida fabric, people. And for those of you who've been watching me long enough, you know that even weave is my preferred fabric. Linen is second. Aida is low on the list. But on Instagram, a couple weeks ago, I think it was Kimberly at Fat Quarter Shop, she was stitching Snow Village on this piece of fabric, which is not the called for. The called for, remember, is Finch Country Rain, which I have a piece of. And that's what I was going to start it on because I liked that look. Well, Kimberly at Fat Quarter Shop posted a whip, and she's doing it on this fabric. And when I went to look at 1, 2, 3 Stitch for this fabric, they don't do it in an even weave. And, which was fine. But then I noticed, I went back and looked at specifically what her count was, and she was actually doing it on Aida. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I looked at their Aida, and they have a 20 count Aida, which is equivalent to a 40 count linen or even weave. So I actually ended up getting a piece of 20 count gray and white petite point Aida. And I'm going to stitch Snow Village on this as one big piece. All 11 charts I'm going to do on this. So a Fat Quarter, which is 18 by 21 in Aida, was perfect size for it. So it was really cheap, and it's really stiff. Ugh, this is one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of linen, but it's really stiff and not at all like linen or even weave. But I'm gonna get over it, and I'm gonna use it because I think it's gorgeous, and I'm gonna love the way it turns out. So I'm excited about that. So I did order one more chart, but it's on back order, so I didn't get it yet. So I will save that one for next time and talk about it in my next video. So that was all my haul. Not a ton, but spendy because of the silk, but that's okay. Which brings us to Stitch for Stash. I actually haven't added these purchases in. So once I do that, I'll probably be sitting at a negative $200 balance on my Stitch for Stash, which is not the end of the world because I think I'm going to have some finishes coming up in the next couple months that will offset quite a bit of that. And then at the end of the year, I should have 2 big finishes, which will certainly help. So it is what it is. So anyway, all right. I didn't have any finishes because, like I said, I didn't stitch most of the month of July, and I just picked my stitching up last week, but I did have some FFOs. I had previously stitched these pieces earlier this summer, but in spring, but I just hadn't finished them yet. So I went ahead and did an FFO on a couple or 3 of the Lizzie Kate monthly little bits that I'm working on for the year. So I finished April, and these have washers on the back. And I'll show you why in a minute if you haven't watched before. So there's April. Here's June, and I love this fabric that I got. It matches the June perfectly, I think. And then I did August. And this is why they're magnets, because this is my display piece. So I finished August, and it is currently on display. So anyway, cute polka dots. I love it. So those are my 3 FFOs for the month. Well, since we've last visited, I just FFO'd them last week. Anyway, so those are my FFOs. Okay, moving on to whips. We're moving right along in this video, which is fine. So I started, when I picked my stitching back up last weekend, I decided to start with my temperature tree because I was a month behind. So here's what my temperature tree looks like. This is a chart by Stitch and Mommy on Etsy, and she's on Instagram as Stitchin' Mommy. And I did this branch right here, which is July. We had some nice warm days in July, so that's looking pretty good. Really like the way it's looking for the year. So on to August. I do have 2 leaves in August already stitched on there because it was August 3rd when I was finishing up this. So I just went ahead and did all of the months, but or all of the days that I had available. This is a 32 count Platlin Lugana, by the way, that I'm stitching that on, which I love. It may be my new favorite fabric, quite frankly. I love it. It's perfect for a lot of things. And then the other thing that I have been working on is my linens and threads stitch along. I actually was behind. I hadn't done June or July yet. And so I started and completed June, which are these 2 half motifs on the bottom and that wreath with my initials and the year in them. These are the only initials that I've put into the piece so far, but that felt like a good one to like designate. Because the year was in it, I thought, well, that's where my initials obviously go. I haven't read that necessarily, because I haven't been on the Facebook page in a while, but I gotta assume that's what people were doing. So I did June, and then I did July, which is the little bird in this little circle right there. And then I need to do August, which is going to go kind of in that hole right there. So yeah, so that's what it looks like. This is, by the way, this is 36 count Winter Moon linen, and it is with mint chocolate syrup Threadworks floss. So I'm doing 1 strand over 2, but I am loving the way this is looking. So we're about 7 months in. Here's what August looks like. It's those 2 very small motifs. So that's not going to take but a few hours to get done. So that's going to be one of the things that I work on this month, so which rolls us right into plans. So my first rule of business here is going to be to get the August done and be caught up. This is going to be one of my finishes at the end of the year that is going to add quite a bit to my Stitch for Stash, so that'll be good. My other goal for the rest of this month is to finish out the little bits. I have 4 months left. I have September, October, November, and December. So I want to get those done. And the reason I'm kind of going to make a push is, for one, this will have me at 12 smalls for the year with a goal of 20. And I'm really want to try and make that goal, because I'm not sure that I'm going to make the goal of having my Stitch 6 complete. But so I really want to make sure the smalls are done. But last weekend when I was FFOing those 3, I realized how much I hated FFOing those because they're kind of small and fiddly with the way that I've chosen to finish them. And so I want to just get these all stitched. I'm finding that if I just sit down and this is what I work on, these take me 2 evenings. In 2 evenings I can get this done. So essentially I just need 8 evenings and I'll have these done, and then I can just sit down and FFO all of them at the same time and be done with them. And then I'll have 12 of my 20 smalls, and I can move on to other things like some ornaments and things that I want to do. So that is my one of my other goals for this month. And then the last goal for the rest of August that I have, well, the last solid goal is that I remember I showed you this last time. I have done nothing since. This is Mediterranean Mermaid by Mirabilia. She's on 32 count shimmering pool by Stephanie's Fabrics. And I had barely started the beading and I really just want to get the beading done. I kind of got discouraged because of all of these big beads, and the big beads are much more difficult, I think, than the smaller beads. And I really just want to get them done. And I'm almost done with the big beads. I just need to suck it up and get through that part of it, and then I can move on to the smaller beads, and that'll go much quicker for me anyway. So my goal is to get her done and beaded so that I can decide how I want to finish her. She's going in my bathroom. I'm going to frame her and put her in my bathroom. I have a little bit of a oceany type theme going on in there. So that's what I'm going to do with her. So that is that. So those are my 3 main goals for the rest of this month. I do need to get some stitching done on my semi-sane Haunting of SSS piece, which is the Lizzie Kate Blue Club. I didn't bring it out because I haven't done anything on it. So I do need to pull that out. And that is actually one of my Stitch 6s this year, I think. So, well, here I can tell you if it is or not. I can tell you. Oh, it is not. Oh yeah, it is. It's one of my Stitch 6s. So that would be good. But Mediterranean Mermaid is one of my Stitch 6s as well. So that would definitely be good to get that finished out as well. So so yeah, so those are kind of my August goals. I think that I can actually whip most of that out here pretty quickly if I just sit down and do it. And then of course the last goal would be to catch up with August on my temperature tree, but I'm tending to do that once a month now. I was kind of thinking I would try to keep up with it weekly because it would be easier, but now I think I've decided that doing it a month at a time is easier, because then you can kind of just do all of the same color leaves at one time and not have to spend so much time being finicky with the leaf colors. So I will probably wait until the end of August to start the August leaves. That takes me a few hours to get those done just because of all the color changes and stuff. But anyway, so that's kind of what I've got going. And then if I have more time, then I'll figure something else up. I really want to pick up my Hade. I'm doing Treasure Hunt bookshelf, and I haven't touched it in about a year. And so I really do want to pick that back up and see what I can start doing with that. I just think that, yeah, I don't know. I've got an itch just to work on that. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So anywho, other than that, I don't really have anything else. Pretty quiet month just because I haven't been stitching that much, and things are going pretty well here. Like I said, still in quarantine basically, and probably plan on being so for a while. I am going to see my parents this fall several times, so therefore I'm going to keep myself pretty locked down and safe so that I can see them. Where they're of an age where they are in a high risk category, and I have asthma, so we're both high risk, and it's important that we do that. So anyway, other than that, I hope you guys all have a good Sunday. I hope it's beautiful weather wherever you are, just like it is here, and I will see you next time. Bye.